who walk away from a marriage and walk completely away from the family. You have women who walk away from a marriage and walk away completely from the family. So it's just, this day and age is important, and it's hard. It's work.
It's work.
It's gonna take work. But I mean, for me, when I did take myself out of the situation, it became very easy. It became quite simple.
We have to keep in mind that healing is a process, and it's going to be work. You have to be willing to do the work. Why? Yeah. For the children. You have to be willing to put in the work to make that situation a better situation for them, and make sure that there are adjustments being made throughout the process.
Right.
Adjustments equal progress. Don't be upset with change. Don't be avoiding adjustments in the situation. In one situation I had, we had to have a meeting place. We couldn't come to each other's houses. That's how bad it was at one point.
We started out like that.
Right. And it grew to the point where we could meet at better places or different places. It grew to some point where you're invited to the house now. You see what I mean? And in my second situation, we didn't quite have that issue. We may have met in a couple of places once or twice strictly out of convenience. You can still come to the house. You know, he probably wasn't allowed inside the house for a little while. He wasn't allowed inside the house. But at some point, we were cordial enough to where I could say, hey, it's cold outside. Step inside while I get his bag ready or whatever. Oh, yeah. We have to be willing to do the work and work through the entire process. Don't rush the process, because what's ultimately at stake is your child's mental health. That's what's at stake.
And their future is, because that's going to build on who that child is as a character.
Right.
It's going to build on all of that, and it's going to you don't want to set a negative tone, especially for relationships and parenthood. You don't want to set that negative tone for your child.
Right.
Now, if you're in a situation, before we go, I just want to say, if you're in a situation where it's just not possible, because you have those, you have guys who just don't want to be involved. You have women who just don't want to be involved. You have those situations, then I would say get the necessary authorities involved if you just wish to pursue that. Don't take it into your own hands.
Right.
Don't go over there trying to kick doors in and run people off the road and do all of that. Just try, if you have the energy to get the authorities involved, there are things in place. Get them involved. I mean, I know some people don't like the courts involved, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Sometimes
if you need that child support, then you may have to have that government reinforcement. You may have to have that, well, not the government, state. You may have to have that state level reinforcement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you want, just like men, if you pay child support and she still won't let you see the kids, drag her into court. You have parental rights.
Absolutely.
You have rights. Don't let that child support payment thing stop you and say, well, that's all I'm supposed to do because that's what the state tell you. That's all you have to do. No, because I mean, not once in all of what I went through with my son's dad and how we got to where we are, never once did I ask him for money. Never once did I ask him for money. All I wanted him to do was make sure he spent time with his kid.
Because that's the most important thing. That's what the child is going to remember. You think he's going to remember that his mama received a deposit on a card?
He ain't going to know about it most of the time.
Right.
So do what's best for the kid. And then if you just, like I said, if you have someone that just won't be involved, I've heard of people sign away their parental rights. If they do that, I don't encourage it. But if they do, that frees up.
So be it.
That frees up that drama.
It does.
And that gives you the opportunity when you remarry, whether it's to a male or a female, or whether it's a woman or a man, whoever gave up their rights.
Less complications.
You have another parent. You have someone who is willing to step in as that parent.
Well, here's my thing on that though. Mm-hmm. If you have a parent, the other parent is unwilling to be involved in that child's life. They're unwilling to participate and show up when you need them to show up. When you wash your hands with that situation and decide, I'm not going to chase this person down, whether it's the mom or the dad, I'm not going to chase this person down and force you to be in our child's life. Do not, and I cannot say this strongly enough, do not spend time bashing the other parent to that child.
Right.
That child is going to remember that and he's going to retain that information. You need to let go completely. Don't discuss that other parent with that child. If he has questions, of course, answer it without bashing the other parent.
Right.
However, you still need to allow that child room to form their own opinions.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, there's going to be resentment toward you until there's a greater understanding at a later age.
Yeah,
and that comes so much far down the line, and by then you could have compromised your relationship with that child because they didn't understand the situation. Stop bashing that other parent around your children. Stop having these adult conversations with or around your children.
Right.
Because it affects them in the long run. Whether you believe it or not, it does.
And they eventually end up seeing the true you.
Absolutely. So when you decide to wash your hands of it, make sure you completely wash your hands of it and do not speak negatively against that other parent with that child in the room. It has some of the worst effects ever. And don't forget, please don't forget, male or female, when you're going through these legal situations, get it in writing. Get everything in writing.
Always.
To have yourself covered. CYA. Always CYA. You got to cover yourself. Have your documents in writing. Have your documents accessible. So when the police knock on your door.
Have a good lockbox.
Yes. Have it accessible where you know where it is. You don't have to dig
Go
for
right
it.
to it.
And pull it out and say, here's my documentation. This is my time with the child. She can pick her up Friday night at 6. Do you understand? Have your paperwork to back yourself up.
Yep. A good lockbox is a nice investment.
Absolutely, it is. And ever so often, you can catch them at the thrift store.
Absolutely. Thrift store, Amazon, Walmart. Anything will suffice in terms of a lockbox. And it's just a good thing to have.
Right. Have those documents put away and ready. But most importantly, have the documents. Make sure when you're going through any type of legal situation, ask for a hard copy before you walk out the door.
Absolutely. I always ask for a hard copy and read.
Please read. Read it all.
Read it. Know your laws. Read
Yes.
it. Have this stuff broken down. If you can't understand it, have somebody give you some legal aid and go through that paperwork with you because when it comes down to laws, loopholes. Ooh, loopholes, baby. Traps.
We have to read. I was expressing it to my son the other night. It's so important that we read because there's so much information hidden from us in plain sight. Take the time to read these documents, you guys, for real.
Well, guys, we're going to switch things up and get on out of here. Thanks again for listening. And before we go, we want to make sure you follow us on Switching Lanes Podcast. That's on Instagram. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little bit of cold. Bear with me. Instagram at Switching Lanes Podcast. Twitter at Just Switch Lanes. And YouTube at Switching Lanes 901. Spreaker.com. Our other outlets.
Yeah, we're now on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Download it, listen to us, and be sure to review the app for us.
And don't forget to hit us up in our email, switchinglane901 at gmail.com. And also remember that that group and the like page. I didn't count this week. I got to start making it a point to count.
Right.
So
to see where we are. We got to make sure we got our numbers moving up.
Absolutely. But we do appreciate you guys.
Every one of you, man. Thank you so much for following us on this.
And on that note,
until next time, love, Jen, and Cicero.